Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with my 2022 summer studio tour. Just coming in from the hallway into the studio, and I'm going to do a quick panning of the studio, hopefully not moving too quickly so that you guys can see sort of what it looks like. The space measures about 110 by 120 square feet, so it's not huge, but it's also not small. I'm very grateful for the space. And as you can see, I do have pictures of all of my grandkids when they were little, except one is missing. I need to put pictures in his frame. He's the youngest. He's 5. I need to get going on that. So yeah, I'm just going to do a quick sweep here and let you see what everything looks like from my perspective. My studio is very clean. This is what it looks like when I'm done with every crafting session. I do not leave my studio messy. I can't. I really enjoy the cleanliness. I enjoy the order, and it helps my creativity. So, and I'll be slowing this down and showing you each section kind of in the second go around here. Just wanted to give you an idea of what the layout looks like. Obviously, I sit there in that chair. You can see my camera arm there. And then I have this taller, it's actually 4 units sitting on top of each other behind me, just to maximize, again, the space, the storage that I need right next to me. So I'm going to close the door a little bit here so I can show you this shelving storage. There's 2 13 by 13 bins at the top. One of them holds a whole bunch of stickers and stuff for scrapbooking, and the other one I think has some binders and things in it. The black file racks there are various papers, white papers, copy paper. My stencils are in binders, the ones that fit in a binder. The pink ones, the pink shelves, gosh, this goes fast. All of those bins are stamps. I think you can kind of get the sense. That's my paper storage and stuff like that. Goodness, I even slowed the video down to do the voiceover. So, and again, just giving you a preview, slowly of the room. My word for the year for 2022 is serene. So I wrote that on my little mirror. I do that every year. And so we're going to start talking about what everything is and where it is. Obviously, that's my printer. Works really, really well there. And then this bin is just a mishmash. I need to organize it. It's kind of a catch-all right now. This one houses a lot of my larger ephemera. So I've got doilies and sheer bags. I've got my personal die cuts, so any die cuts that I've created on my own. My Tim Holtz people, and a variety of other things. So everything that's kind of, you'll see a smaller storage solution here in a little bit. So anything that was too big to store that way is in the bigger zipper pouches from Amazon. This is a work in progress. This is my adventure journal that is going to be, hopefully still going to be a swap with Luna. I've talked about her before. I need to get back to that journal. It's just so hard when there's so many things on the plate. This is the 2-bit baskets I have for my current project that I'm working on for the Sweet Rose journal for my friend Evie, who won the 1,500 subscriber giveaway, custom journal giveaway. I have 2 bins for cardboard and packaging, so when those are full, I have to stop saving it. So this is kind of the rule I set for myself. So I have 2 bins, which is plenty. Let me tell you, it is plenty. So just scooting that chair out of the way really quick so I can show you the drawers and the cabinets here. In these 2 cabinets, I have all of my mixed media stuff. So I've got my pastes and my gels and my glues and my gesso, and those cloths there are pieces of old curtains that I use to put on my table when I take photos, because my table has a bunch of little holes in it from not being very careful when I was binding journals. So I've got little ding marks in it. It looks terrible for photos, so that's what I use. This drawer has all of my golden fluid acrylic, my golden high flow acrylics, and the larger bottles of the golden fluid acrylics there on the right. So these I use all the time, so it's really nice to have them that close to me. This bin is all of my acrylic inks. Most of them are from Liquitex and Daler and Rowney. I use them often, especially when I do mixed media. They're a very loved supply. These are mostly my Deco Art Premium paints, some Jane Davenport, some paint and stuff like that. Those might get moved to a more conducive place. I don't use them as much. These are my favorite Liquitex Heavy Body professional artist grade acrylic paints. So I keep those there. And then these are the Master's Touch acrylics, and it looks like some Jane Davenport in there as well. Again, those might get moved as I restructure when my husband gets the shelves in. This is how I store my lace and ribbon. Primarily it's my lace at this point. So you're going to see mini drawers here. And I've got these spools from Amazon, and I will try to link them in the supply list over on my blog as well as in the description box. So I think I have 4 drawers, I think, of various laces and ribbons. This one is my sari silk and other special ribbon that I purchased. It was just a mess. It was, if you know sari silk, if you don't spool it, it's a disaster. So I finally got it spooled, and it's much easier to work with. This is seam binding, some of it that I've made and some of it that I've purchased from Etsy. This is where I keep all of my coffee dyed lace and fabric and ribbon and things like that. And down here is just some gauze, not a great use of space, but again, I am still reorganizing. When the shelves go up, I will be doing a little more adjusting. And there I'm just, that's the forgotten hole that before we painted and put the flooring in, that was just jam-packed with junk. So there's my scoreboard, some freezer paper, my stamp platform, and a couple of trimmers. And then here, this is to the left of me where I sit. And so here I've got the things I use the most often. So my punches, my eyelet setter, things like that, corner rounders and that stuff. All the other punches, I've got larger punches that don't fit in these drawers, so they are elsewhere in the studio, but we'll get to that. Just a variety of stuff. It's all organized. I just don't know what to really call it. It's just stuff. So, but it is very organized. It's just who I am. I can't help it. This is all my wax seal kinds of stuff. And that black thing there is I believe is a glue gun. Having trouble with my words today. And here I have, these are some snippet rolls that I did actually, not rolls, I did like a whole piece of huge fabric and lace, and I cut them in strips, but I haven't done anything else with them. So I look forward to getting back to that and finishing those up. And here I keep all of my smaller ephemera and beadwork, paper clips, hidden paper clips, as you can see there, just smaller items, I guess. A bunch of tape, as well as my tie-back tape, which I do use often. I got these at Goodwill. I thought they might be nice closures for a journal, but I've not yet tried them. And here I have, again, some other paints. This is my Arteza acrylic paints in the small tubes, my Lucas gouache and my Arteza gouache. Is housed in this drawer, as well as those paints. There are my Art Alchemy paints that you would have maybe seen in a previous video when I did the wax seals using clay. And again, some of this will be reorganized once I get the shelves and I can kind of get stuff out of drawers. So here we're moving on to the drawers here on top of my desk. These are also from Ikea. The bottom two, as you'll be able to see in a moment, are still available. The top one with the hole is not. And here is just a little acrylic drawer set that keeps the bottom drawer was fabric that I've sewn into strips and things, and paper that I've sewn into strips, and just a variety of other things. That mixed media piece is one that I made that I love having where I can see it. It reminds me of my creativity, and it reminds me of what's important. I found my floss cross stitch thread kind of stuff, so I put that in that drawer just so it's more handy. And these are the photo boxes, and I just have a variety of some of this is jewelry making stuff, and just random things. Some glue books there, as well as some pattern paper and some book pages that have already been pulled out of books that I can just grab when I need them. And here I have moved my most used die cuts into this drawer so that they're just right there, which I think I'm going to move my die cut machine over to the desk if I can figure out how to do that, because I think I would use it more if it was right here versus kind of not where I can reach for it. The bottom two drawers here are all beads and things like that, beads and charm storage, as you can see there. And then my window is right there and my air conditioner. And so that's why, I mean, it's super close to me. So that's why I turn it off when I'm videotaping, because it's so loud. And then I usually close my shade as well. So this little unit here is two pieces on top of each other. This is a variety of powders. I've got some color burst powders, infusion powders. Those are woody color pencils. I've got watercolor sticks and things like that in there, as well as my my jewelry making supplies are in one of those baskets. And then my quotes, words, and buttons, the mini distress ink pads. These are magical powders from Lindy's Stamp Gang. Love Post-it notes, love them. And I think those are also magicals. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So here, obviously, you can see this is my work surface, and I'm gonna describe it here in a second. I'm gonna pan back over here to the left and start with the drawer here on the bottom. It needs a little, that basket or that tin thing is just, I just put crap in there. This needs to be reorganized. It's not a very great use of space, but it just has a variety of stuff. And then I have this little dish that I got at the beach, and I just keep all those little things that you don't know what to do with in there. And again, lots of Post-it notes of various sizes for my liking. And here just has a lot of that grab and go stuff: glue stick, my inks, pokey tool, pens, my Wink of Stella markers, my needles, and things like that. So it works really, really well in that space. So this is the unit that I was telling you a moment ago that you can no longer get at Ikea. You can only get the one that has the two large drawers. So those are my fabric scraps and paper scraps that are smaller size. And this is just kind of an overhead view of my supply caddies, all my brushes, my glues, and everything that I grab for, which is pretty self-explanatory. And here I've got some tools for mixed media, my soft pastels, and replacement sponges for my daubers. And then obviously my keyboard and mouse. And then I have to get down on the floor here. So the spaces are really small in here to move around. So it was really challenging to do the tour. So I will pan back over to the left and I'll show you what's in the drawers. And then I'll talk about those bins, the black lidded bin there, in a moment. Those are all a lot of the adhesives that I use the most. These are larger scraps, paper scraps. I don't like to get rid of them. I find myself going through them all the time. I just don't let them get any bigger than the space that I've allowed them to have. So I've got two drawers of the larger lace textile kinds of things, one on the left and one on the right. They're not big enough to spool, but they're not small enough to go in the other things. So this is my other smaller storage that I was talking about, the smaller zipper pouches. So I keep my stickers, my acetate stickers, just little ephemera. So yeah, I can't go through all of it with you on camera, but that's just kind of an idea of how I organize those smaller bits and put them in a place where they're going to be accessible and I'm going to use them. So that's the really important thing, I think, when thinking about what you want your studio to look like, is how can you make it as functional and efficient and inspirational as you need it to be. That's kind of my goal when I am fussing around in here and changing things up. So, and that caddy just holds, it's like spins, it's on a Lazy Susan. These two drawers have just random ribbon and stuff. I need to still spool some of that stuff and organize it a little bit better. These are all my metal bits. I used to do a lot of mixed media. I don't do it as much anymore. But that's two plastic bins deep, and it holds all of my metal bits. All of my clay molds and clay is housed there. And this is my primarily Artist Loft acrylic paints, which I use for jelly printing because it's cheaper. And then I have 2 drawers here of all of the finished ephemera that I've made since I started doing this wonderful craft. And I want a better solution than this, but right now this is what works, and so it's what I'm using. But it's probably going to be okay. I have the drawer space, so it's not really a big deal. This one just has the bigger pieces that don't fit that can't stand up in the drawer. So, and then embossing powders in those little bins, little containers. So I'm going to turn this way back to the, this Kallax unit sits to the right of me by the door. And so here you can see I've got my alcohol markers, glue sticks, additional adhesive kinds of things, and a variety of other brands of inks that I also use. That's all my 12 by 12 pattern paper and my 12 by 12 solid paper, as well as any scrapbook pads I have are kept in there. This is my favorite watercolor palette, my really large one. I decided to keep it a little bit more reachable. I used this when I went on vacation to the lake, and I really had a good time. And so I want it to be someplace where I am going to use it more often. So this is my sewing drawer. So all my needles and my bookbinding threads and things like that are in there. This drawer above is not very functional either. I'll probably be doing something to change that up. This is a variety of paper crafting items as well, including my Tim Holtz tissue paper. Metal corners, metal book plates and things like that are kept in here. I took them out of the metal bits drawer because I just would completely forget that I had them. So down here in the bottom cabinet, this is where I keep all of my fabric. This is all of the fabric I have, so I don't think it's too bad. The bags on top are actually scraps. So, and this is a larger bin that has larger pieces of fabric and clothing that I've recycled and repurposed, that I purchased and repurposed. So this is the craft acrylics that I primarily use for jelly printing. And you're going to see a whole bunch of bins that have books. Some of them are very vintage. Some of them are just secondhand books that I purchased for to use in journal making. This is paint pouring supplies. Not an experienced paint pourer by any means, but I did get the stuff, and I look forward to playing with that a little bit more in the future. This little cabinet I'm just using as a kind of a throw stuff in there and sort it later place, because again, I don't like my workspace to be cluttered, so everything gets put away. This is tissue paper and napkins in that bin. And this is my little cart, holds my Big Shot, and as I mentioned before, I'd like to get that moved over to the desk, but we'll see. The middle section is all the other dies and embossing folders, and then my sewing machine sits on top, and I just move the sewing machine over to my desk when I'm ready to use it, and because the plugs are already plugged in under the desk. So just a random piece of packaging that got stuck where it doesn't belong. This is yeah, I'm not going to give you the story about the Easter colored cotton balls, but that bin, sorry, that bin and all those zipper bags have flowers and leaves, so 3-dimensional kinds of things. That's all of my envelopes, white and cardstock color. This bin is pretty random. I saved this tin from the kitchen when I did some purging in the kitchen. I plan on using it for something. So that's not where it belongs, but so some of my larger stamps are in that bin as well. This is where I keep my file folders, like lunch bags and some of the bigger items, as well as some chipboard for bookbinding. And I've been looking for these little pipettes where I had put all the rest of them. So I just found them as I was doing the tour. So I'm going to put those where they actually belong. So that bin has all of my rags and stuff. And then this has got my laminator, punches, you know, all that kind of stuff. I didn't pause there. I apologize. At the bottom 3 bin holes in this cubby hold vintage books. And then over here, so the clear bins with the black lids, you'll see one there and then two stacked on the other end. That's how I keep my digitals. So they are all in there by maker. And that's how I keep those things organized. Just a variety of things in those bins on those two shelves. My Cricut, which I have not played with very much. These are all card fronts and card backgrounds that are just ready to kind of be creative with. Pictures of special people in my life, and all those little cups hold all of my colored pencils and watercolor pencils and a variety of other kinds of things like that. This is my favorite spot in the whole studio because it reminds me of the young me, the free me, the joyful me, the fun me. It reminds me to be playful. It reminds me to breathe. It reminds me to smile. And so I love it. Love it. Love it. I got these lace-looking plastic baskets at Ross some time ago, and I'm just using them to keep things sorted. So that one has vintage ephemera that I still need to scan. And this has vintage doilies and handkerchiefs and things that I've collected from antique stores. That pink basket that has the stamps on top, those are just stamps and things that need to be sorted and put back in their homes. And then those papers there, that's watercolor paper I need to tear down. I just stuck it in there. And then in here, as I mentioned before, it's just a variety of things that I like to grab for some embossing supplies. Those tins hold other inks and water soluble color crayons, like my Caran d'Ache crayons and things like that. So again, just panning to the left here, I'm going to show you behind the door, or the back of the door rather. So I keep all of my stencils on command hooks on the back of the door there, as well as my Cricut mats. It's a great space saver, and it works well in this space. So, and yeah, so that is the studio. I'm going to go into kind of a part 2 or a segment 2 here in a moment of my storage on my computer. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about how I keep track of all of my digitals. It is a question that a lot of people, I was going to talk about my setup here. So this is my camera arm and my webcam, and were both very, very inexpensive. I've had them for 3 years. I don't even want to think about getting a new webcam. It works great. It was inexpensive, and as you can see, I can bring that arm right down to my surface, like really close. And then I have an external microphone. That was what I was looking at there. And then here on the computer, I wanted to talk with you about how I store my digitals, because it's something that people struggle with, and they end up purchasing something again because they forgot that they had it. So when I order digitals, I have an Etsy download folder, and then I have a folder for every maker, and then within each of those folders is where I put the kits. If it's a full kit, I will give it its own folder. Sometimes things are randomly put in there. As long as I get them in the right makers folder, I feel pretty good about that. I also keep an Excel spreadsheet, which is what I'm showing you here, that has all of my digitals listed. So it has the maker in column A, and it has the name of the kit or a description of the kit in column B, and then column C tells me if I have downloaded it or not. So guys, that is really about it. Thank you for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.